It's all yours, Jacques.
Thank you very much, Julian. Alors, bonsoir à tous et bienvenue à cette session en ligne de St. Lawrence Toastmasters. Comme à l'habitude, nous avons un thème ce soir et ça ne peut pas être plus à point. L'Halloween est à quelques jours loin de nous, alors naturellement, le thème est déguisement, to disguise. I could come up and show you my costume for Halloween, but I don't think you want to see that. So I'm going to take a different tangent. And I just like to point out that sometimes, when things happen, like, for example, this COVID-19, it could disguise itself as great opportunities. And that's what we have tonight. Because thanks to COVID, we have to meet online, and therefore, it's the perfect opportunity to practice our online presentations and meeting skills. And what better place to do that than at St. Lawrence Toastmasters? Not only that, we have another opportunity tonight, we have the chance to hear our Toastmasters International President, Richard Peck. So what a great evening it's going to be. Et pour animer cette soirée, qui sera sans aucun doute mémorable, nous avons une personne qui est membre de St. Lawrence depuis 2015. Il a été vice-président membership, vice-président d'éducation et couramment notre président du club. He's currently director of strategic growth at Gestisoft, a Microsoft Gold partner. He has recently completed his MBA at John Molson School of Business, and that during COVID-19. And he just started a new project, Artifice Labs, an educational and research group. So ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome your Toastmaster for this evening, Stilian Nicolau.
Thank you very much, Jacques, for this very, very wonderful introduction. Welcome et bienvenue everyone tonight to this wonderful Toastmasters evening. Tonight is not only a special night due to our special two wonderful speakers, but it's also about the theme, disguising, se déguiser, or to dress up. And this is the perfect moment where I have to actually put on my mask, and I hope it's going to work with the COVID. So for this portion, I will be presenting in this wonderful mask in order to actually represent my inner creature. So Batman was always the favorite character that I actually used to dress up whenever I had the chance. So back in Germany, Carnival, if you've been to Cologne during Carnival, you know what I'm talking about. But that's a great place where you can actually dress up and use different characters to put yourself into. And I know as well that here in North America, Halloween is one of these moments where children and kids from a young age on are actually able to dress up and experience and express themselves. So there's a lot of different options to do that. You don't have to wait for these two events. But as you all know, when you're a member at St. Lawrence Toastmaster, I always like to make a link between public speaking and the evening's theme. So what is there, to note when you look at dressing up or se déguiser, en fait, en français, and public speaking? So first of all, if you look at costumes, right? Costumes, when you relate that to Toastmasters, it's basically like making a statement. It's not just about picking a costume that you like because of its look. Yeah, that may happen, but the real reason for myself behind picking the Batman costume is really making a statement. Batman stands for strength. It also stands for wit, and it also stands for technology. And as you may know, I am in the technology sector. The second point between dressing up and Toastmasters that I actually noticed was to let your imagination flourish. Flourish is actually the theme of the year for our club, so I had to actually put this in. But to actually expand on your imagination when you give speeches is something that's extremely, extremely important. First of all, you have to expand on your thoughts when you speak in table topics, for example, where you have to use descriptive and very, very creative language to paint a picture in the audience mind. And thirdly, you get into a different character. So when giving a speech, it's always helpful to actually taking on different roles within your speech. People can do that while changing their voice or starting to do different imitations or making impressions of some people and just try to mimic certain situations, having a dialogue in that specific speech. So that was my little insight about tonight's theme and how it relates actually back to the theme. So, and to Toastmasters. This being said, it's actually a little bit distracting that my ears keep disappearing. So I'll take off my mask. And sur ce, je voudrais débuter la soirée avec un toast. Et pour ce faire, je vais demander à Laura French-Bourgeois de nous présenter le toast pour ce soir. And you're on mute.
Mr. President, Toastmaster, fellow members, and distinguished guests. Tonight, I would like to make a toast to a childhood icon to millions of Canadian children, including myself. He ran one of Canada's most beloved and longest running children's television series, Mr. Dress Up. An early ally of Mr. Rogers, his US counterpart, he also based his approach on developmental psychology, which emphasizes that children learn best when delivery is slow, simple, and repetitive. Just like tonight's theme, his show focalized on disguise. At the centerpiece of Mr. Dress-Up's home was the tickle trunk, a large trunk which contained boundless costumes that brought children into a world of make-believe. Through his work, he opened the minds and the imagination of countless Canadians, which undoubtedly still has an impact on Canadian culture today. So I'd like you to raise your glasses and make a toast to the Canadian icon, Ernie Coombs.
Ernie Coombs.
Thank you very much, Laura, for this very appropriate toast tonight that kicks off our meeting quite well. And for the benefit of our guests who haven't been very often to a Toastmasters meeting, I'd like to share with you that there's a great lineup of people in the back end of each and every Toastmasters meeting. These people are called head table officials, and I'd like to introduce them to you tonight because these are the people who make sure that everything runs smoothly. I'll ask you to hold your applause to the end. Our table topics master for tonight is Lisa DeBass, and you can just raise your hand so we know who you are. Our timekeeper for tonight is Melanie Aubé. Sergeant at Arms Jacques Lamontagne. Our general evaluator Yannick Daou. And myself, the Toastmaster, Stillian Nicolo. That was a little bit administrative, so in order to loosen up the atmosphere quite a little bit, I'll ask Christian Tsuryansky to help us out with a humorous story.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Est-ce que vous m'entendez?
Very well.
Alors, pour les membres d'expression française, je vous présente 3 perles du baccalauréat français 2020. Question-réponse. Première question. Qui est le chef de la Corée du Nord? Réponse. La Corée du Nord est une dictature avec son cruel président King Kong. Deuxième question. Expliquez l'origine du déficit des plans de retraite en France. Réponse. En 2020, il n'y aura plus assez d'argent pour les retraités parce que les vieux refusent de mourir. La troisième, pendant la guerre mondiale, quand est-ce que les Américains ont déclaré la guerre? Réponse, en 1945, les Américains déclarent la guerre aux États-Unis. Now, for the benefit of the English-speaking members, I translated the last pearl of wisdom. The question, how did President Kennedy deal with the Cuban Missile Crisis? Answer, once Kennedy died, he couldn't do much to undo the crisis.
Very good.
Monsieur le Président.
Thank you very much, Christian. And that kicks off our meeting quite well tonight. So for the benefits of our guests, again, as we have to be, and we want to be very mindful by bringing forth the Toastmasters success story, the global success story. What is Toastmasters International and where did it all begin? So in 1924, there was a gentleman by the name Rolf C. Smedley in Santa Ana, California, who came together with a couple of friends and said, there must be a better way to actually practice our public speaking skills as we use them in our daily lives. So they came together in a YMCA, and what happened there ended up to be a growth story that has been unseen anywhere else in the world. Today, Toastmasters has more than 358,000 members all around the world in more than 140 countries and more than 117,000 volunteers who meet on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, to practice the art of public speaking and leadership. St. Lawrence Toastmasters is actually one of the oldest clubs east of Winnipeg here in Canada. If you look at our club number is 606. So globally, we've been the 606th club that ever was founded and that is still in existence. And what that means is that we have been in existence for the last 72 years. So that wouldn't have been possible without all the great members that actually make up of this club. For example, Jacques Lamontagne and Italo Magni, who are some of the two pillars that still exist today, who have been in the industry and also at Toastmasters for 30 plus years. And they're still with us today, helping us out and being some important, as I said, pillars to our meetings. This being said, were this a physical meeting, you would have been seeing all the banners that we actually have. Don't worry about the banners, we buy them actually, but it's about the ribbons who are on them. And so these ribbons are not for individual special achievements like people competing in the speech contests, etc. They're actually for club accomplishments. And I'm very glad to announce that despite COVID, we have been recently awarded last year's President Distinguished Club Award. And I'll be sharing my screen to show you. I don't know if you see my screen.
Yes.
There we go. For the 2019 and 2020 President's Distinguished Club Award under the leadership of Caroline Touchera, who was the president at the time, who mastered the transition from physical to online meetings on Zoom. Thank you for that. So each Toastmasters meeting is actually divided in specific sections. There's the business session, which we'll skip tonight as we're meeting online and we're on a tight schedule. Then there's the educational session made up of the table topic session and the prepared speeches. And Thirdly, the evaluation section where we give each other feedback. As you can see, there's no formal teacher, but the wealth of the community provides us with help to become better and better. And in order to actually present the benefits and introduce us to table topics, I'll ask Lisa DeBas to do just that. Welcome, Lisa.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Fellow Toastmaster, Mr. President, distinguished guests, good evening. The improvisations, the table topic session aims to develop the ability to speak out and to express oneself in a structured way and on an imposed topic in which we don't especially have something to say. It can also be with something that we have a lot to say, but how can we do that in a structured way? So the goal to make the table topic session is to learn about speaking in a more structured way. Tonight, the topic will be related to the theme of the night. It's going to be déguisement ou disguise in English. The objective will be the following. Make a detailed description. First of all, respond to the question. In responding to the question with detail and color, link the response to a story, a book, or an event. And third, to respect the time allowed. So I'm going to ask the table, je vais demander au responsable du chronomètre d'expliquer les règles de chronométrage. Donc, Mélanie Aubé.
Oui, merci Lisa. Greetings, Toastmasters, fellow Toastmasters and guests. As a timer, I will time the table topics. And they should limit their remark to no more than 2 minutes. So it will go at 1 minute. I will show the green screen. At 1 minute and 30 seconds, I will raise, not the yellow card, but show the yellow screen. And at 2 minutes, I will show the red screen. Thank you.
Merci beaucoup, Madame la chronométrice. So, je vais expliquer en français les objectifs pour être sûr que tout le monde a bien compris. Donc, les objectifs à atteindre sont de répondre à la question avec détail et couleur, de rattacher la réponse à un événement, un livre, une histoire, et de respecter le temps alloué. Is it okay, or do I have to repeat to express myself better? Is it okay? Okay. So first, I'm going to call Nadine. Is Nadine there? Yes, here she is. Hi, Nadine.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening. Tell me, Nadine, if you had to dress up as Canadian, what would your costume be?
Madam Table Topics, fellow Toastmasters, and especially our welcome guest. If I had to dress up as a Canadian, what would it be? Now, you might think this is a difficult question.
Yes.
After all, Canada spans such an enormous territory. But really, is it a difficult question? When we think about Canadians, we want to think about the drive-through, specifically Tim Hortons drive-through. And, you know, I find Canadians just so committed, so dedicated to get that brown, hot liquid that actually gives me heart palpitations, but man, it's good. And so how would I disguise myself? Well, first of all, you have to get up very, very early and line up around the building, okay? And as I said, you have to be committed, okay? So you need to gas up the night before and get into a soccer mom van, okay? So a Dodge Caravan worked great, Kia, anything. Okay, so you got your soccer mom van, and I would say I wouldn't push it past 7 a.m. And so you're gonna approach your favorite neighborhood Tim Hortons. And ladies, it's okay if you have mascara on one eye. We won't judge you, okay? So, you know, you might be finishing up the makeup while you're waiting. It's okay. You have about 15 minutes. So, you know, ladies, so you might have your face half done. You know, we know you don't have breakfast. So that's okay. Hair done, optional, completely optional. You can just come as you are at Tim Hortons, right? And so, you know, you have you're in your lineup, you're in your soccer mom van, and you have your, you know, you may be done, maybe not for work, but you will be ready for work when you get there and you have your Tim Hortons. And that's how I would disguise myself as a Canadian. I have my Tim Hortons in my hand. I'm in my soccer mom van. My face may or may not be done. And I just come as I am in that drive-through. Madam Table Topics Master.
Thank you very much, Nadine. Beautiful speech. For the next question, I'm going to call Alex. Alex is there somewhere. I know I saw him. Okay, here you are, Alex. Alex, according to you, which costumes are no longer socially acceptable for Halloween nowadays? Donc, quels sont les costumes qui ne sont plus ou moins socialement acceptables pour l'Halloween, selon toi?
Madam Table Topics Master, fellow members, and distinguished guests, which costumes are no longer socially acceptable? I would actually have to say, I'll start with one costume, which I actually wore a few years ago, maybe 15 years ago. And I showed up at work with a big pillow under a bathrobe, and I put on some Vaseline on my cheeks, and I put on some coffee grinds to look like somebody who hadn't shaved for several days, because me being Asian, it's actually quite hard for me to actually grow a beard in just a few days. So I actually showed up at work for our Halloween costume, wearing the costume of somebody who's just lying around at home and who's not doing anything but watching television. And people looked at me and they kind of didn't really know how to react. And I would say that it was probably because it was not necessarily socially acceptable to dress up, maybe looking overweight, maybe looking like, you know, you're not being productive, maybe looking like you're a little bit lazy. And so I would say anything that is of the sort that plays on people in society who are maybe less considered less valuable to society, I would say that any costume that is related to that subject is out of bound these days, completely not socially acceptable. Madam Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Alex. Merci beaucoup, Alex, d'avoir bien répondu à la question. Bravo.
Thank you.
Pour la dernière question, for the last question, I'm going to ask Pierre-Luc. Pierre-Luc is there somewhere, I know.
Oui, Madame l'animatrice.
Oui. Pierre-Luc, on te prête deux costumes, celui de Al Capone et celui de Mère Teresa. Lequel choisis-tu? So we are borrowing you two costumes, one of Al Capone and the other one from Mère Teresa. Which one would you choose and why?
Madame Table Topic Master, fellow Toastmaster, and most distinguished guests. For me, the answer is pretty obvious. I would go definitely perfectly with Mother Teresa. And this is the reason why. Not only because I like doing good actions, I actually think, and I've been reflecting in my life in the past few months, and I realized that I need to be more there for people. And who has been a greater source of inspiration of being there, of being a person of the people and being impactful in her way to be around people? That's right, we saw her right there on the screen. It's Mother Teresa. That thanks for the picture. And this is great because also I think the costume looks really fashion. You can wear that in all sorts of area, and this is obviously socially acceptable. I had a few experiences in the past where I wear some costumes, and I can tell you, like for last week Halloween's, actually, me and my girlfriend, we had a great idea of renting those, big costume that there's kind of a machine in there with a fan that they get inflated, and it was really fun. It was like a big alien that was trying to rob me from hurt with his arms around me. And then, at the end of the night, it was funny. We had a good time. I was really hot and wet because the costume was not comfortable at all. And I think the impact was funny, but I didn't represent somebody that was really great for the society in that alien costume that day. So I think choosing Mother Teresa would be great for having a great example on people around. It will bring some honor into that Halloween costume, making sure that this is socially acceptable. And that's definitely the costume that I would choose for that Halloween. Mrs. Table Topic Master.
Thank you. Merci beaucoup, Pierre-Luc. Merci beaucoup, beaucoup, beaucoup. Alors, ceci termine notre session d'improvisation. Alors, I'm going to remind everyone to the question that were asked and the participants. So the first question was, if you had to dress up as Canadian, what would be your costume be? It is Nadine who answered to this question. Then we had, which costumes are no longer socially acceptable for Halloween? It's Alex who answered this question. And then we had, you have two costumes. You have the choice between two costumes, Al Capone or Mère Teresa. Which one would you choose? The goals were to respond to the question in detail and color, to link the response to an event, a book, or a story, and to respect the time. So I'm going to ask first the timekeeper if there is any disqualification.
There are no disqualification.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Timekeeper. So I remind also everyone that the winner of this table topic session will receive a prize at the end. So I'm going to ask everyone to vote and to send the votes to the Surgeon of Arms of the evening, Jacques Lamontagne. You can send your votes through the Zoom group chat. So send it to Jacques Lamontagne.
In a private.
Mr. Toastmaster?
Thank you so
Yes.
much, Lisa. Just to add on that, just make sure it's going to be in a private message to Jacques Lamontagne for you, for the speaker you found met best the table topics objectives, not in the public group chat. Thank you very much, Lisa, for this very appropriate table topic session. It was very impressive, and I like the fact that it was bilingual as well. We're now moving ahead into the prepared speech sections where Mr. Peck, our international president, will begin with his speech. But before we even get there, I'd like to introduce guests and members alike to our educational program called Pathways. So how does it actually work? And especially for the guests that are here with us tonight, once you sign up to become a member at a Toastmasters club like St. Lawrence Toastmasters. So once you sign up, you will be signing up online with a link that will lead you to a questionnaire where you can indicate your interests and your learning objectives. Based on that, Pathways, the platform, will be designing a tailored learning path and a learning experience for you. So you can then sign up for speeches and give your speech and perform certain roles like myself tonight, the Toastmaster, or Sergeant at Arms like Jacques Lamontagne at every single meeting to accomplish specific objectives that you give yourself. This being said, it's an excellent program to support us in this time of uncertainty where we have to move online, as it sharpens our ability to really practice the art of dealing with digital technology. I will now move into the session where our speakers will get ready. And before I actually go into the introduction of our guest speaker tonight, Mr. Richard Peck, I'd like to ask Xenia, the evaluator of this speech, if there were any specific objectives that you would like to share with us tonight.
I apologize, Mr. Toastmaster, if I can get back to you on that in right after the speech and before giving my evaluation.
No problem at all. All right, so this is a dynamic leadership level 1 research and presenting project. Have you ever been asked a question that piqued your curiosity to the point where you needed to find out more? That's exactly what happened to our next speaker. In tonight's speech, our speaker will be presenting What Happened in Grand Rapids. Please help me welcome Mr. President of International Toastmasters, Richard Peck.
Mr. Toastmaster, may I ask permission to share my screen, please?
Definitely. I will now make you the host.
Thank you very much.
You're now enabled.
Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, have you ever had someone come up to you and ask you a question and you said to yourself, I don't know anything about that, but I need to find out? Well, that happened to me recently. I was on a call very similar to this, and someone said to me, are you related to the infamous Pecks of Grand Rapids? Well, I've had some infamous Pecks in my life, but never knew anyone in Grand Rapids. So I figured I had to do some research on this. And there's a great story that goes behind it. And let me present that story to you tonight. As in every great story, we have a list of players. So the players are, apologize. The players are John Edward Peck. Now, John Edward Peck had a drugstore in Grand Rapids with his brother, Thomas. They started it in 1915, and by 1916, he was already a millionaire. So you can see how successful this gentleman was. That's player number one. Player number two is Hannah Peck, his lovely wife. You can see the look in her eyes, the love in her eyes. And she was there to support him in everything he did. The next player is Percy Peck. Now, Percy was instrumental in solving this story. We'll talk about that a little bit later. This is Clara Peck. Unassuming, kind of meek and mild in her appearance. A key player in this story. This debonair young man is Arthur Waite. Arthur Waite was married to Clara Peck. And they weren't married very long before things took a serious turn. This young lady is Margaret Horton. Margaret Horton was a cabaret dancer, and she was known to be on the arm of Arthur Waite every once in a while, and was embroiled in the scandal. So what do all these players have in common? Well, let me just recap the names for you. Edward Peck, married to Hannah Carpenter. Son Percy, daughter Clara, married to Arthur Waite. Little box on the bottom, shouldn't be in the game anyhow, but is. Well, what did they have in common? And that is the plot of the story. And it was murder. You see, John Peck had become very, very wealthy. And Arthur Waite, although having married into the family, decided he was not going to wait for his inheritance, or for Clara's inheritance for that matter. So in January of 1916, an otherwise healthy Hannah Peck mysteriously dies. And her body is cremated right away, and no one thinks anything of it. Until March of 1916, when John Peck, a seemingly healthy individual, suddenly dies. And as John Peck was getting ready to be buried, Percy received a mysterious letter. Back then, it wasn't email, it was actual letters. And it was, "Do not bury your father. Something is wrong. Do not tell anyone." And at a coroner's inquest, they determined that John Peck had been poisoned with arsenic. Upon further questioning of the family, they determined that Hannah Peck had also died of mysterious causes. A trial ensued, and Arthur Waite was found guilty, dentist charged with murder of millionaire father-in-law. Well, they didn't have the body of the mother-in-law anymore to prove anything, but he was charged with that one as well. Clara Peck was just beside herself that this would even happen. But as she reflected, she realized that she had been experiencing sickness over the years and had recovered from them. And upon further examination, it appeared Arthur was trying to poison her as well. Arthur Waite, was sentenced to death at Sing Sing prison. When he was getting ready to be electrocuted, he had one last statement to make. And his statement was, "I only regret that I had one less body to give," referring to Clara, which would have gotten him his inheritance a lot sooner. This is actually all in a book called The Poisoning of the Pecks of Grand Rapids. The next time someone asks you a question that makes you go, I suggest you do a little research on it and see what you find out. Mr. Toastmaster, back to you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Peck, for this wonderful speech with outstanding visuals. And I'd like to ask you to make me the host again, possible.
Sure. How do I do that? Let's see.
There's 3 dots when you go with the mouse on my picture, so you'll be able to see.
I apologize. Let's see, where are you? Oh, there you are. Make a host. There you go.
Exactly. Thank you so much.
You're quite welcome.
And as you jot down some comments, some appreciations, some suggestions for Mr. Peck, I will give you a couple of seconds to bring that to the end. Richard, would you like to me to provide the email address of Kelly so members can provide their feedback to that email address? Is that the best way to do that, or?
Mr. Toastmaster, Mr. Richard, you're on mute.
I'm sorry, I was changing my background. However you would best like that to happen, that would be fine. Yep.
Okay.
If I have a suggestion as well for our guests and the members as well. I'm sending a link through the chat right now, which leads to our Google form, which is an evaluation form. If you would like to do it that way and it would be easier for you, just hit on submit and we will gather the result and send it to Mr. Peck.
Sure. And if anyone would like to email me directly for this or for anything else, it's real simple. It's rpeck@toastmasters.org.
Excellent. As our second speaker gets ready, we're just wrapping up a couple of things here. Melanie, the next speech is going to be between 6 and 8 minutes.
Maybe I could ask a small question. Xenia, you shared a link to Google Docs, and in the link, there are ratings from 1 to 5. Can you let me know what is 1 and what is 5?
1 would be the worst and 5 would be the best.
Okay.
Think of 5-star hotels.
Okay, super.
Mr. Toastmaster, I'm sorry, I just want to confirm you said that it would be a 5 to 7 minute speech?
6 to 8 minutes.
6 to 8. Okay, perfect. Thank you.
So for our next speaker, I'd like to ask the evaluator, Carolyn, to actually provide us with the objectives of the speech, if any.
Thank you very much, Stillian. So for our next speaker, we are dealing again with a pathway project that is focusing on presentation mastery. It's level 3, and he's revisiting the Inspire Your Audience project. So be ready to be inspired. Back to you, Stillian.
Thank you very much, Carolyn. Since his childhood, sports has been an integral part of our next speaker's life. He loves to play, loves to watch, loves to read, and loves to talk sports. When he first met his wife 48 years ago, she noticed that his only flaw was his obsession with all things related to sports. Of course, since then, she has discovered many more of his imperfections, most of which he wasn't aware of. This evening, he would like to share a few life lessons he has reaped from one of the most successful and influential baseball coaches of all time. One lesson that goes beyond sports and how it applies to life in a talk entitled, I See the Faces. Please welcome Italo Magni.
It's been said that the only thing you take to the grave with you is what you leave behind. On June 28, 2016, in Knoxville, Tennessee, one of the greatest basketball coaches of all time, Pat Summitt, passed away from Alzheimer's disease. For 48 years, she coached the University of Tennessee's women's basketball team, the Volunteers. And when she retired in 2012, she was the winningest basketball coach in women's basketball of all time. In her autobiography, Sum It Up, she writes, I've won 1,098 games, 8 national championships, and I've coached through 4 different decades. But I don't see the numbers. I see the faces. Mr. Toastmaster, International President, fellow Toastmasters, and welcome guests. That quote resonated with me because as I think about my journey through Toastmasters, a rather successful one, I say humbly, I don't remember how many contests I won. I don't remember all the trophies, but I remember the faces. And I'd like to share some of those faces and the stories associated with them with you tonight. When I first joined Toastmasters in 1989, I walked into a room, the Mount Stephen Hotel on Drummond Street in Montreal. And I walked downstairs and I sat next to a gentleman who shook my hand and started speaking to me, and very nice gentleman. And within a very little time, we got to know each other, and he became kind of my mentor and my coach. And I remember the first time I gave a speech at Toastmaster, and I was nervous. My knees were shaking. I was full of self-doubt. I didn't know if I was saying anything that was coherent or not. And the thing passed like a flash, and I sat down, and he turned around to me and he said, "Hey, that was a great speech." You know, I'll always remember my first night at Toastmasters giving me a speech and Jacques Lamontagne's face. How can you forget such a face? And it's been with me ever since I've been Toastmaster for now over 30 years. But I remember the other thing that I said to myself, besides remembering his face, I said to myself, boy, never trust anything this guy ever says to you after tonight. The thing about it is I stayed at St. Lawrence Toastmasters for many years, and I quickly became kind of enchanted with, with contests. I wanted to go far in this contest thing. I remember seeing a fellow man by the name of Don Johnson giving a speech called A Many Splendor Thing, and he won the 1989 World Championship of Public Speaking. And to this day, I think this is one of the best speeches I've ever heard in my life. And I said, one day I want to go there. And I started working towards that. And I had a lot of help at the club. Jacques was my mentor, my coach. He encouraged me every time I got up to speak. But one person that really helped me, I remember going to her apartment several nights a week to practice my speech when I entered contests. And she always used to encourage me. And to this day, she is not with us tonight. But I remember Ellen O'Mara. I don't remember exactly what she told me. I remember she encouraged me. I do remember she was on my side. But I'll never forget her face. And eventually, in 1994, after quite a few losses and disappointments, I worked hard and I made it to the 1994 World Championship of Public Speaking. And I have to tell you that Saturday morning before the contest, I remember being in my hotel room and I heard a little knock on the door. I opened it and there was Connie Martens, a member of Pembroke Toastmaster Club. And she came in and we had been very close, and she coached me and she encouraged me and she was on my side. And she walked into the room and she looked at me. And I looked at her and we didn't say very much. I was dressed up. The contest was not that far away. And she stopped me. She straightened my tie and she looked me in the eye. And I knew right there and then that everything would be all right in that contest. I don't remember what she told me, but I remember her face and I remember her eyes. In between that, I got involved in a lot of different contests, and always by my side, besides Jacques Lamontagne, was a friend, a person who became one of my best friends, if not my best friend. And Jill Pelletier, who is with us tonight. Jill, I hope that you don't forget my face, because I won't forget you, because he was always by my side, always encouraging me and always telling me I could succeed. And he helped me to succeed. So, I don't remember how many contests he came to when I was competing. I remember a lot of different details. But you know what? At the end of the day, I'll remember his face. Now, I was lucky enough to make it a second time to the World Championship of Public Speaking in 2006 in Kentucky. In Washington, D.C. And you know, I'll never forget a face that actually accompanied me along the way to this contest at the regional and international. And she was one of our best district governors, twice district governor. And she's with us tonight. I'm so happy to see her. Sue Delady was there. And Sue Delady encouraged me all the way. Now, I don't remember what she told me, and I don't remember how many contests she's seen me at, but I do remember Sue Delady looking at me and telling me I would do great. You know, I forget the numbers, but I don't forget the faces. And I won't forget your face, Sue Delady. You know, I just hope that all my Toastmaster life is through. And hopefully, you know, I go to the grave. I won't take very much with me, but I hope I've left a few memories, fond memories behind to all those people, and mostly to the faces that I will never forget. But because I think Pat Summitt says his best, no matter how much success, how many trophies, how many rewards, how many contests you win in Toastmaster life, what makes this journey the most beautiful journey that I've had in my life is 30 years is the faces, the people I've met, the people that have encouraged me, and the people that will remain with me for the rest of my life. You know, about 10 years ago, our club changed environment, and we moved to a club, a restaurant called L'Amboiserie, and it was a beautiful room in there, and everybody said, oh, this is a beautiful room, beautiful room. And one night I got up and made a speech, and I said, believe me, this room would not be as beautiful if all of you weren't sitting here, if all the faces weren't in front of us listening to us. So ladies and gentlemen, yes, as Pat Summitt says, I've had a lot of success. I've been around Toastmasters for a long time. I don't remember all the numbers, but believe me, I'll never forget the faces. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, Italo, for this very inspiring speech. I will now give everyone 1 or 2 minutes to use the same link as previously posted in the group chat to provide your comments, your appreciations, and a couple of suggestions to Italo. While you're completing your feedback, just wanted to draw your attention to the fact that typically this session where prepared speeches are being presented is a friendly contest. But tonight, because of our special event, we have decided as an executive committee to not vote for the best speaker, as we were not aware of the objectives associated to each speech. So this being said, the speech was purely for all of our appreciation tonight. I'll give you another 5 seconds before I move on. All right. What a great prepared speeches session. That was fantastic. I've learned so much about Mr. Peck, and I'm actually not even sure if these were if that was even science fiction or what kind of book actually was presented to you or where you ran into that. And even Italo, it's always a pleasure to hear about the various experiences that you lived throughout your Toastmasters life. So as we're moving into our final session of tonight, I'd like to actually share with you why that is so important, because that's where we tell each other the truth. In the evaluation session, we give each other feedback where specific evaluators are being assigned to speakers. And why is that so important? Well, that's simple. As mentioned earlier tonight, there's no teacher that actually tells us how to actually speak and how to perform our presentation. We learn and feed off the simple feedback that we can then use to improve and better ourselves. Tonight, we have 3 evaluations. First of all, for the table topic session. Secondly, for the first speaker, Mr. Richard Peck. And secondly, for our second speaker, Mr. Italo Magni. And in order to evaluate our table topic speakers, I'd like to ask Tommy LaBelle to do just that.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Mr. President, dear fellow Toastmasters and distinguished guests, tonight we had a very interesting table topic night. And first of all, when I evaluate table topics, I like to go with the actual goals where the participant had tonight. So the first goal was to respond to the question with details and colors. And second goal was to link the story to a book or an actual story, personal story, or an event. And the third one was timing. Everybody did that well. And also, as for the first 2 objectives, that was well done also. Everybody answered the question clearly, and everybody also actually did some kind of a personal story around their explanation. First of all, Nadine went about the Canadian disguise, which was the most famous Tim Hortons. There's nothing much more Canadian than that. Well done on that idea. Nadine used her magic weapon, which is humor. She's very good at it, and she really used that to her advantage tonight. From the very start, she went into this, the way she went into the Tim Horton idea, the gas, the soccer mom minivan, don't forget to gas it up, and so on and so on. The whole story was crafted with humor in mind. So that was the major good point I noticed. Also, you had a very good vocal variety. It's not easy online sometimes, but you used your voice very well to put out your point. And frankly, also you had a good conclusion, a good intro conclusion. I don't have really suggestions for you today, but yeah, very well done. Also, next we had Alex with, I would qualify it as a not very easy question about the less socially acceptable costume, but you did very well on that, Alex. You answered the question directly. You were quick to think of an example of your own creation, own costume that indeed could be doubtful today. The overweight, lazy person persona. That was very well done. You sprinkle a bit of humor also. The description of your costume was pretty well done and with humor. And you also had a good conclusion to your evaluation. The only suggestion I would have tonight would be just to maybe spruce up the vocal variety a little bit. That's a challenge also when we are remote like this. and we don't have all the ambience of everyone around. Thirdly, we had Pierre-Luc. Pierre-Luc with the choice that had to be done between the Al Capone or Mother Teresa costume. And here again, straight from the start, you answered Pierre-Luc, Mother Teresa. And also you mentioned it and made a link to the previous improvisation, saying it was socially acceptable. And that I like that very much. It's a skillful thing to do and very interesting thing to hear as an audience. You did a good description. The only suggestion I had was maybe you could have put a bit more meat around Mother Teresa. At some point, you kind of deviated through words and a story with your girlfriend and another costume, but still at the end, you had the wrap up. You had a good conclusion. So very well done on that. So all in all, very interesting Halloween theme improvisation tonight. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much, Tommy, for this great evaluation. And just for the benefit of our remaining 2 evaluators, we're doing well on time, so we'll have between 4 and 5 minutes to evaluate your respective speeches. For the next evaluation of Mr. Richard Peck, I'd like to ask Xenia to present it to us.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Fellow Toastmasters, welcome guests, and especially you, Mr. International President. I appreciated the enthralling murder mystery that kept us on our toes for almost 7 minutes. I would like to start by commending you on the masterful usage of Zoom in this whole remote situation. The way you orchestrated your presentation with these beautiful photographs, the other preps, like the lights that you took out at some point, it was very well organized and very well planned. Now, I don't know if there's 5 people behind you helping you out with all that, but it was very well done, and in no moment of the speech did we feel like something was unplanned or maybe badly orchestrated. I believe Mr. Peck has achieved his objectives, as Estelian has mentioned, which were to present a research, a well-organized research. What I found special and what I appreciated was the introduction, was the way you embarked us into the story. And it reminded me of Victor Hugo and his really long descriptions that have as a purpose to build that foundation, the set, to create that set and setting. And this is what you did by showing us the photos, by going into this really vivid imagery to throw us right in the middle of events before you started with the actual story of what happened. Very well done, Mr. Peck. The masterpiece of your speech, however, to me at least, and I hope everybody would agree with me, was the pace and the vocal variety. You knew very well when to lower your voice and almost make a grand, and you knew when to get excited and kind of higher your pitch. And throughout the entire speech, your voice, your pace was very soft, soothing, yet kept us in suspense. While I was listening to Mr. Peck, I closed my eyes for a second, and I thought that even if I didn't speak English and I didn't understand a word of that speech, I would still really enjoy the speech I'm listening to. So congratulations, Mr. Peck, on that. In terms of suggestions, I have 2 that I believe would bring your speech to the next level. One of them, I found the first one is that at the beginning, I put a lot of effort into trying to remember the chronology, who's related to who, the names. And it was great that after that presentation, you showed us the scheme, the little org chart. What I think would be even better is that you have a disclaimer at the very beginning, just a little comment saying, don't worry about remembering all those names. I'm going to recap it at the end, so that it kind of puts us at ease because we're very, focused on the story. And something else that I thought would perhaps just lighten up the somber and dark atmosphere of poisoning of a whole family would be maybe to throw in a couple more touches of humor, which I believe you did, but maybe just bring it up a little notch. Otherwise, excellent speech. I appreciated you sharing this very well-researched, exciting story of this inconspicuous town close to Detroit. Who would have thought of that? So thank you, Mr. Peck. Congratulations again. Very well done.
Thank you very much, Xenia, for this fabulous evaluation. And to evaluate the second speaker, I'd like to ask Caroline Tuchera to do just that.
Thank you very much, Stillian. So tonight we had the privilege to listen to one of the pillars of St. Lawrence Toastmasters, Mr. Italo Magni. I will give my feedback based on 3 aspects. The first is, how did I see Italo? How did I hear him? And how did he touch my heart, and possibly the hearts of everyone listening to him tonight? The speech was about inspiring us. Did Italo inspire us? He did. He always inspires us. That's why he's part of the Pillars of St. Lawrence. So to get straight to the point, if you remember, Stillian was introducing Italo. And how did Stillian introduce Italo? With a prepared introduction that normally the speaker gives to the Toastmaster. And what I loved was that Italo was very human, and that he gave recognition to his wife, to the fact that his wife saw flaws in him. Some of the flaws were that he's too involved in sports. And then he went on to talk about the basketball coach. And he made a comparison with his career in Toastmaster with his basketball coach, Pat Summitt. What he talked about Pat Summitt was the numbers. She has a great career. She was part of more than 1,000 games. She won championships. But what did Italo like about Pat Summitt was the fact she doesn't care about the numbers. She doesn't care about the trophies. What you leave behind when you die is what you don't take with you, is the faces. And for all of us, I'm sure that we are touched by life and death. And when you think about people and your success in life, you really think about the people that have touched you. So as I saw you, Italo, you were philosophical. You were teaching us about, what you learned at Toastmasters, but also how you were touched by many, including your wife, about this basketball coach. And then you went on to talk about your friend who we see all the time, Jacques Lamontagne, who was one of the first person to motivate you. Then in 1994, you went for a contest and you remember this woman who fixed your tie. This is so touching. It's so, it's not about the trophy. It's about the little gestures. It's about the faces every time. And then here we have tonight the privilege of having Sue Delari. Thanks for being here with us tonight. And Italo, you didn't lose the opportunity to say thank you for her encouragement, even at the time, which was, there's a parallel path that you share with many of us. So thank you for sharing your experience, for showing us that you're human. How did I hear you? Well, you came up here in front of us. You had a big smile. You had your Italian energy. It's always touching. And to listen to you is very personable. There's one thing now about what could you do better next time? You know, Italians, we all know, like to show off, right? I don't know if this was done on purpose, Italo, but let me just show you something. You were addressing us, we're all sitting and you were above us. It was an angle, as if we're like students and you're above us. And, you know, I would say next time, try to be maybe more level, like this. Let me not fall from my chair. So that was funny, you know, but it's something that you might want to think about next time. And maybe make a personal touch. You talk about your wife often, and would it be possible maybe for you to invite her as a surprise? Maybe she doesn't want to play the game, but and if not her in real life, see a picture of Jacinthe, right? Because we remember the name on the Zoom profile that we used to see a lot. So this is someone who has a lot of meaning to you. So that would be my my suggestions. So did Italo reach his objectives? I think he did. He showed us that in life, it's not about winning numbers. It's not about the trophies. It's about all the people that touched his life. And why, Italo, did you touch my heart specifically tonight is for those of us who noticed, as the Italians who love their mothers, Italians also love women in general. So you give a lot of constructive appreciation to your wife. You give a lot of appreciation to the basketball coach, Pat Summit, to Sue Delati, and I commend you for that. Italio, it's a way to touch my heart as well. And in the future, definitely we'll think of the faces that we might remember, because the eyes are the window to the soul. On that end, thank you, Italio, for being there, and back to Stillian.
Thank you very much, Carolyn, for that great evaluation. I do want to remind everyone that the evaluation, the evaluators will be part of a friendly contest. So you can vote for the evaluator who you think best gave feedback and comments, etc., to our respective speakers. And you can submit your favorite to our Sergeant at Arms, Jacques Lamontagne. And as you do that, as mentioned in the beginning of tonight's event, there are specific people who make such an evening happen. So you have all the different roles that people took tonight in order to ensure a smooth rollout. We have one specific person, the general evaluator, who has been taking notes and carefully observed everything that happened tonight, and will share with us his perspective and his appreciation of tonight's evening. And in order to do that, I'll ask our general evaluator, Yannick Daou, to present us with his point of view.
Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmaster, and most distinguished guests. Wow, what a night we had. I think it's the most person we had on Zoom from our history. I looked down at the bottom and now we are 40, but we were 50 at some point and people were dressed up. I was like, wow, this is a massive party. So wow, what a night we had. And first of all, I got to say thank you to our international president, Richard. So I think you draw a lot of people. So I would say that you are welcome every Tuesday. You know our time now. There's no reason to miss it out. And I'll come back a little bit later on the impact you had on our night, Richard. And let me speak about share about the notes that I have regarding everybody that spoke and did not receive feedback yet. So we started the night with our Sergeant at Arms, Jacques Lamontagne. Félicitations, Jacques. What I liked about Jacques, he started to warm up the crowd before the meeting. So he talked with our guests, he talked with a lot of people, he created some link. That was well done, Jacques. He also exactly, I looked at the time at 7 o'clock, Jacques gave a reminder to our Toastmaster to say it's time to start. And we did start at 7:01. So well done, Jacques, on this. He was also proactive. I saw in the chat, he said you can send the ballots, your votes to him. That was another thing that Jacques did pretty well. And what I like about you, Jacques, also is about the team. The team was disguised, and you said within COVID, we have opportunity that is disguised. So I think it was a great play on words. So well done on that. If I have a tiny suggestion for you, Jacques, it's when you speak sometimes, I saw you were like on one of your elbow like this. So it might be a little déconcentrant. So maybe just stand out straight for next time. But apart from that, congratulations. Now, Stéliane, for the Toastmaster. Bravo, Stéliane. What a great job you did. I think I look at the time. If I don't speak too long, we'll be right on time. So that's pretty well done. Stéliane started with Batman, and he talked about Cologne, where he's from, so from Germany. And I think it was a great choice. Not only it surprised us, but it opened his mouth so he could keep on speaking and we could hear him. So well done, Stéliane. He talked about Batman that had strength and wit. And I think you had that tonight. You had a lot of strength and wit throughout the whole meeting. He talked about the annual theme, which is flourish. So for the guests, now you know it. I think it's a good thing. And you were concise on every part of the meeting. So you presented Toastmaster, or club, pathways. You did not give too much detail, but I'm pretty sure everybody has an idea about what you were talking about. I particularly enjoyed the dédicace you did to two of the special members. You gave praise to Jacques Lamontagne and Italo. I think it was a good touch on you. I like the fluidity of Stéliane as well. So he shared the screen with our international president, and you also gave him some guidance to give you back the control. That was super. I had one suggestion for Stéliane, which is when he put the mask on, I was like, we saw the little thing, like they kept on disappearing. And I was, is he gonna keep it the whole time? So I wrote down my suggestion, you have to take off the mask, but you corrected yourself. So well done on that. I have, that's the only suggestion that I had, Stéliane, but I think you were original. You did a fantastic job. Bravo. Laura French Bourgeois for the toast. Laura, you kept it with the team that was disguised. And what I liked about Laura, she was original. I don't know if it's because of the president was here, but she linked it with Canada. Laura was calm, clear, and she kept the name Ernie Kunst for the end. Well done. If I have a tiny suggestion, maybe you can suggest to everybody that we can open up our microphone. So when we say the name, we have kind of a special group vibe. Well done. Christian Toriansky pour l'histoire d'humour. Félicitations, Christian. Christian, I think he had a very interesting format. So instead of making us laugh once, we laughed 3 times. So he had a short sentence with a punchline every time. Congratulations, Christian. I think it was funny. If I may say a suggestion for next time, you had those 3 sentences that you said in French, and then you translated the last one in English. Maybe you can go right off the bat, 2 in French, 1 in English, and that will be perfect. Congratulations, Christian. The table topic, the master of the evening, Lisa Debas. Félicitations. Lisa was the only courageous to keep her disguise for the whole time. And it looked pretty good on you, Lisa. Bravo. It was original with the color, with the hat. And I think the presentation you gave us was original as well. With your creativity, it gave the participants enough meat to be able to be creative themselves. So congratulations on that. It was clear. The objective, we all knew them. Bravo. If I may say one suggestion, Lisa, it's about your background. We're not sure about this, Lisa. Maybe the different colors. You were pretty courageous to keep that till the end too. But yeah, apart from your background, we loved everything you did. Bravo, Lisa. Now we moved on to, yes, we have also the timekeeper, Mélanie Aubé. Félicitations, Mélanie. Mélanie, what I've enjoyed about you, it's you asked the time prior to the meeting to Monsieur Richard and Italo to make sure that you knew the time. Well done. You gave the instruction. They were clear. And technically, I think you showed the light at the right time. Bravo. If I have one suggestion, it's when you share the time instruction, turn your light on at the same time. It will be a bonus. Congratulations, Mélanie. Now, for the evaluation, we had Tommy Lebel pour les évaluations des improvisations. Bravo, Tommy. Félicitations. Tommy reminded us the goals, and it was an evaluation based on the goals. And I think Tommy is really skilled for praising people. He had a great analysis on everybody that spoke, and I think everybody felt good when you evaluated them. I like also the energy of Tommy. Tommy, he gave a lot of gesture. I saw that today you had a lot of energy to give the evaluation, and it's tough to have it on Zoom. I tried to have it right now so you don't fall asleep, but you had it, Tommy. Good job. If I have one suggestion, we want to see your eyes a bit more. You were a bit reading too much. Apart from that, well done. Pour l'évaluation de Richard, so Xenia, congratulations, Xenia. I think it was an evaluation with a lot of emotion. I could feel it. I could feel it through the screen. With the word you use, you were able to highlight the speeches of Richard. I have noted masterful, orchestrated. So you were able to share his strength with a great vocabulary, and you even did some mimic with your evaluation. So I think the emotion that Richard put in his speech, you were able to put it in your evaluation as well. You even compared a part to Victor Hugo. That's a very nice praise to give. And you said that his best strength was pace, vocal variety, and even, I've never done that before, but Xenia closed her eyes within the speech, and she kind of imagined some stuff. So that was pretty, well, original and pretty emotional as well. So congratulations. I think also the suggestion that you gave for the first one was very spot on. I think Richard now can give the same speech and have a better impact. So congratulations. I think it was an evaluation that reflected well the speech of Richard. Last one, but not the least, for the evaluation of Italo, Caroline Tucherer. Caroline, I loved your structure. She said, I'm going to talk about what I saw, what I heard, and what I felt. And Caroline, she was able to give some example for each part of them, and with the small details. And I think with the small details, she said what touched her, and that's what Italo was able to do in her speech, and she was able to share it in her evaluation. Also, Caroline mentioned a lot of things she appreciated personally, and she concluded with that the face of Italo touched her, and she said the eyes are the witness of the soul. I think it was a pretty good conclusion that fitted pretty well with Italo's speech. Congratulations, Caroline. Well, before ending my remark, let me share 2 points with you. Normally, we meet in person, and we do love to meet in person better than in Zoom. But tonight, I think we were grateful to be on Zoom because we could have you, Richard, with us. We felt honored, and we felt privileged to have your presence here. So that's pretty, thank you very much for that. And the last thing, if I can make a link as well with Italo's speech, Italo spoke about faces. That's what he remembers from people. And that's a lot, that's related to human values. And I think as an international president, to come visit us in a club and to be with us, that shows first a lot of leadership and a lot of human values. So Richard, I want to thank you for the human values that you shared with us tonight and for your presence. And on that remark, I'll give the control back to Stillian.
Thank you very much, Yannick, for these very right spot on observations. We are really moving towards the end of the meeting, and I'd like to honor some of the winners of tonight throughout the table topics session and the evaluation session as well. So for the evaluators, we actually have a tie, and the two winners are Carolyn and Xenia. And for the best table topic speaker, help me applaud for Nadine Champagne. Congratulations for these great performances. They really make a difference, and we had a blast listening to all of you. And so as we're coming really to the very, very end of the meeting, I'd like to invite a couple of people to provide us with maybe a couple of closing remarks. So I probably start with our international president, Richard, if you had any comments or any things you wanted to share with us tonight.
Well, thank you, Stillian. And for you, I am Batman. Actually, I'm a Superman fan, but that's okay. We'll get along okay. This was really a great meeting. Yannick, that is probably the best general evaluator report I have ever heard in my 14 years in Toastmasters. So congratulations on that. Italo, speaking about legacy and people remembering us, I give a keynote that talks about legacy, and it's not what you think you're leaving behind, but it's what people remember you for. So thank you for bringing that forward. I think that was really important. Xenia, I took notes for my feedback so that I can continue to improve my speech. Thank you very much on that. And Caroline, thank you for bringing up the Italian ancestry and those things that are unique to that culture. I appreciate that as well. This was really an impressive meeting. I've been to several so far, and I will tell you that you rank right up there in the top one or two. From the beginning and how you started it to where we are right now. Truly, truly impressive. And for a club that's a little bit older than mine, because mine is 764, yours is 606, so we're not too far apart. You can really see how there's an embedded culture that comes along. Now, I do want to say one thing to everybody, but I want to mention a particular individual. So Sue Delati, I have known for a lot of years. And Sue Delati knows me better than most. And I don't hang my hat on my title. I don't hang my hat on Mr. or anything like that, because at the end of the day, I have to be Richard. Just like at the end of the day, you have to be who you are. So please feel free to call me Richard. I would be most comfortable with that. And I think that would mean a lot to me. Our titles go away at some point in time. And as Italo said, people remember you for who you are and for what you did, not for the title you had on your name. It was an honor to be with you as part of the International President World Tour. I hope individuals were taking pictures throughout the night. If you did, please send them to Kelly. Stillian knows how to get in touch with Kelly because I know they are gathering them all up for a future piece. Stillian, thank you for allowing me to attend your meeting. And to all of you, thank you for allowing me to be a speaker tonight. I turn it back to you.
Thank you very much, Richard. On that note, I'd like to open it maybe up to Susan as well, if she had a couple of words to share with us tonight.
You know, it's ironic. I think the last time I was with this group was one of your anniversary celebrations. And I can't believe this Sunday, you're celebrating yet another anniversary. Quite different, of course, but it's an anniversary celebration. Richard, I have no idea if it was luck or just by great planning. You couldn't have picked a better club to come and visit to get a good sense of who District 61 is. There's just no way. I was just so enthralled from the opening of the meeting and seeing Jacques. There's nobody that opens a meeting quite like Jacques. You set the tone, my friend. And then to see you showcase with Stillian, Caroline, Xenia, Yannick, this is a class club. It isn't just that you've been around for a long time. You have class, you have depth, and you have strengths in leaders and communication. It was such an honor. I couldn't believe my luck hearing Italo was going to speak. In addition to Richard, I mean, who else wants to be anywhere else than right here? What a beautiful evening. And I look forward. And Jacques, if I don't get a personal invitation to the next in-person anniversary, I am going to pout like you won't believe. It is such a pleasure being here. Thank you all. And Richard, so wonderful for people here to get to see the real you. I loved your story. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sue.
3 more years, Sue. We'll be inviting you.
And I know Tanya has quite an implication in the district as well, so I'll open it up to her as well if she wanted to share a couple of words.
Thank you. It is, like Sue said, it's a great club to come visit. It's been on my list for quite some time. And when I received the invitation, it was a no-brainer on how to clear your schedule and make this meeting available. To echo Sue's words, to hear 2 such great speeches was amazing. But I think what I fell in love with tonight was 2 evaluations, and those were not easy speakers to evaluate. And Carolyn and Xenia, you did an amazing job on that. So kudos to you, because I think it's a testament to your club to be able to stand up and give those strong evaluations of strong speakers. So way to go. And I look forward to coming to the next one too.
Thank you so much, Tanya. I'll maybe ask if any guest or any other member, and that's just going to be one single spot as we're running late, but I just want to be fair to everybody. If anybody wants to share anything tonight with us.
I believe there is Charlotte.
Charlotte, yeah. Please unmute yourself.
Oh, well, now I've lost my audio. I think it's such a wonderful club. Congratulations to everybody. And as you may know from my name, I'm Laura's mother. And I think she is so fortunate to have been able to join your club. I think it's really a great way to start a career and to become a speaker. Congratulations to everybody. Yes.
Thank you so much. And for all our guests, I recognize that this was a very special event tonight. So if you'd like to come back and see what a regular Toastmasters meeting is all about, next week, same time, same people most likely, minus Richard. So come back as often as you'd like. This being said, I'm very grateful for this wonderful evening, and I'd like to wish you a happy Halloween season despite COVID. Have a nice evening, everyone, and see you next time.
Don't go away, still yet.
Bye.
We have to get the meeting for next week. The schedule for next week, Stillian.
Yes, I wanted to spare that our guests and members. We will take care of it offline.
Individually contact you.
Oh, okay.
Have a great evening, everyone. Thank you so much, Richard, for coming.
Good night, everybody. It was a pleasure meeting all of you.
Happy World Tour.
Thank you. Thank you.
World Tour.